Hello, everyone, and welcome back to Typing Tuesday. I hope you all had a chance to get some keyboarding in last week, but if you did not, you can start today. Remember that every Tuesday in Wolf Den, we want to practice at least 10 minutes on typing.com. So now let's look at some of the options in typing.com. Here you see the dashboard, and at the top is some useful information as you practice. Starting on the left, you can see your progress towards leveling up. Next to that is your average speed in words per minute. It is also called WPM. After that, you will see your accuracy. Try and stay above 90% accuracy as you move along in typing.com. Next, let's take a look at the very top of the dashboard to the menu bar. On the menu bar, you will see lessons, tests, games, achievements, and themes. Today, let's take a closer look at achievements. We will explore the other items later. When you click on Achievements, you are shown all kinds of information on your progress. On the left side of the screen, you will see tabs for different types of information. You can view the avatars you earned, your average typing speed, accuracy, and many other things. You can take a look at your progress at any time so you can challenge yourself to get faster each week. Lastly, let's look at the top menu bar again, and we can see Themes. The themes allow you to customize how your background looks and the avatar used in your dashboard. You can see many different themes, so have fun as you explore them. Well, that is all for this week. Next week, we will look at some more things you can do in typing.com. See you all next week and have some fun typing.
Let's take a minute to talk about posture. Proper posture at the keyboard not only keeps you from feeling tired, it can also prevent injuries that occur with repetitive movements. Oh, and guess what? It will increase your typing speed. Here are the steps you can follow to make this happen. Step 1. Adjust the height of your chair so that your arms are at a 90-degree angle when your fingers are on the keyboard, like this. Step 2. Place your feet flat on the floor. Your knees should be aligned with your hips. If you need to, you can always use a footstool. It's not cheating, I promise. Step 3. Place your keyboard slightly below the height of your elbows. That way, your wrist will remain straight whenever you are typing. It is important that you don't bend your wrist to the keyboard. Step 4. Protect your neck. The top of your screen should be slightly below your eye level, which will reduce neck strain. If you're using a laptop or tablet with a Bluetooth keyboard, you might need to get a stand or stack up some books to get the screen high enough. If you follow these steps, you'll be sitting correctly at your computer, ready to type like a pro.
Hello, I'm Mr. Simonton, the co-host of the Washington Middle School Anime Club, along with Mr. Vallier, letting you know what we're going to be showing this week. Our episode this week on Wednesday, it's called Mob Psycho 100. It concerns the pitfalls of a super telekinetic student by the name of Mob, who when he gets to 100, his telekinesis powers just explodes and it's devastation and destruction and everything else. But he manages to keep himself controlled. In this particular episode, it's about friendship. And despite the title, this episode depicts the natures of true friends. Some friendships that are thought to be real are fake, and those that are thought to be fake are actually real. It's a wonderful episode about people that you didn't think that were going to gravitate towards you, but actually do. So the music and that pivotal scene that you were just hearing in the background, it's a wonderful accompaniment to the scene. So I highly recommend it. So we'll see you this Wednesday in the library at 2:50. Thank you very much. Welcome once again to Mr. Simonton's This Week in History. This week we have something very important as it relates to our nation and the way it's run, and that is the United States Constitution. So it was adopted on the 17th of September, 1787 at the Constitutional Convention held in Philadelphia, Pennsylvania. This Constitutional Convention began in May of 1787, was attended by some of the great notables and founding fathers of our nation, including George Washington, James Madison, Dr. Benjamin Franklin, Alexander Hamilton, and Roger Sherman. James Madison, he created the basic framework of the United States Constitution and helped to write the Bill of Rights. And because of all of his efforts in that, much like Thomas Jefferson as the father of the Declaration of Independence, James Madison is considered the father of the American Constitution. Later on, he would become the 4th president of the United States. The main provisions or the main articles inside the Constitution is the organization of our government. There are 3 primary branches: the legislative branch, which writes the laws, the executive branch, which is the office of the president, which enforces the laws, and then the judicial branch, which is our Supreme Court and our judicial system, our judges and system of courts, which interprets the laws. In terms of representation for the citizens of the United States, there are 2 main houses inside the Congress. First of all is the House of Representatives, and this is based on population, of which there are currently 435 representatives for the 320 some odd million citizens of the United States. California, we have, I believe it's 53 because we have the largest population, so therefore we have the most representatives, but not so that the small states wouldn't be outdone in terms of voting. Small states also have somewhat power through the Senate, in which each state, no matter how large or how small, gets 2 votes in the Senate. Slavery, unfortunately, was something that was occurring back then. And the southern states, because they had smaller populations, because they were primarily farming economies and didn't have very many large cities, they wanted their slaves to count as population, but not towards taxes. The North, of course, wanted the opposite of that. So a compromise was reached in which 3/5 of all the slaves in the South would count towards population and therefore both taxation and representation. This provision, though, did not prohibit the practice of slavery, but slavery and the importation of slaves was supposed to end in 1808. But once again, it did not stop the practice of slavery. It took the Civil War to do that. During the creation of the Constitution, 2 groups emerged: the Federalists, who believed that a strong central government is necessary to face the nation's challenges, and the Anti-Federalists, who believed the Constitution created a powerful central government that reminded them of the British government that they had just fought 8 years to get rid of during the American Revolution. So on the Federalist side, those believing in a strong national government were men like George Washington, Alexander Hamilton, James Madison. On the other side, you had the Anti-Federalists who wanted a weaker national government: Thomas Jefferson, James Monroe, going to be our 5th president, and Sam Adams, cousin of John Adams. So the Federalists, knowing that many people would probably be against a strong national government, 3 of these men in secret wrote something called the Federalist Papers, and it was a collection of 85 essays under an anonymous name of Publius. And there were 3 men that were primarily responsible for the authorship of these documents. And you can see here in the image here that John Jay was responsible for 5 of the articles. James Madison was responsible for 29 of them, and then Alexander Hamilton wrote the majority of them at 51 of them. And these were written between October 27th, 1787, and May 28th, 1788. Now, several states, especially a couple of large states like New York and Virginia, they kind of balked at signing a constitution that was going to be the law of the land without a guarantee of the Bill of Rights. This is something that was kind of a large complaint during the American Revolution. And once they were promised, hey, go ahead and sign it, we'll get to it later, we will promise a Bill of Rights, that was created. Of course, probably one of the most important ones to us as Americans today is freedom of speech, religion, press, assembly. That means you can protest and also petition against the government for redress of grievances, or you have complaints against the government. Also protects us against illegal arrests, search and seizures. And if you are arrested for a crime, there are certain rights that you have. One of those, of course, being a trial jury, also limits on bails and punishments. On September 17th, 1787, 38 delegates signed the United States Constitution. Rhode Island had no delegates. Some of the famous signers are George Washington, Roger Sherman. Now, Roger Sherman holds the distinction of the only man in American history to sign the Declaration of Independence, the Articles of Confederation, which came before this, and the U.S. Constitution, the only man to sign all 3. Alexander Hamilton, Dr. Benjamin Franklin, and of course, the author of primarily this document and the Bill of Rights, James Madison. how it shook out, the very first state to ratify the Constitution is Delaware. So that's their motto, and they even have it on their license plate, the first state, and they were on December 7th, 1787. You notice it was unanimous. Everybody voted to approve the Constitution. Now, you had to have at least 9 states. So you notice that Virginia and New York were kind of still holding out, but they did eventually ratify. But it becomes the law of the land when New Hampshire, the 9th state, ratified the Constitution. So if you didn't ratify it, you wouldn't be part of the United States. But eventually all the 13 states, new states, did ratify it. But New Hampshire gets the distinction of basically being the state that puts it over the 9-state level, which made the Constitution the law of the land. It's always doing that. There we go. So I hope you enjoyed this week's Mr. Simonton's This Week in History, and we'll see you again next week. Thank you all for viewing.